Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttala,
And I'm Casey McBride.
and we're here with another fun episodes of Stir Crazy Shamans. Hello again. First things first, if you're watching this on the replay, please take a moment to subscribe and share. And also, for when we reference that we're putting comments into comments, it does not come through to my profile or Casey, so please head over to one of our Facebook pages, HHH Sonic Shaman, or the YouTube channel, and you can see the comments that we post from there. But now that we got that out of the way, our conversation today is going to be revolve around recognizing spirit. And I think this was probably inspired by Casey recently listening to spirit when it provided him an inspiration to do something and running with it.
Oh, yeah. So big time. A part of what I wanted to talk about for everyone was just, we all have these, sort of greater callings, and some of us are sort of, we may be doing something that's a little fulfilling for us, but we know we just have this kind of feeling that there's more for us in life. There's more that we're really meant to do and put out there. And for me, I've been doing the things that I love for a number of years now. But still, I also had that feeling like, there's more that I meant to do. And one thing that I've really always loved doing, which I have been doing for quite a long time, is readings. I do like psychic readings. I do spirit guide readings. I communicate with people's spirit guides, and then I relay messages from their guides to them. And it's just a lot of fun. And I did my first one. When I first discovered I was able to communicate like this, I think it was like 12 years ago, and it was purely by accident. And so there was a lot of time where I was really focusing on it, and a lot of time where I was not so much. And recently I've just been having a lot of fun, but I never had actually charged a person money or made it into like a business venture. And I was just over the past week or two doing trade readings with a lot of other readers, and the message kept coming through over and over again. They're like, hey, it's time to take this to the world now, and it's time to go live and really offer this to the world. And so I listened to various things. The spirit came through. It was like, hey, make this group on Facebook. Okay, I'll make the group on Facebook. And then, hey, go on and do a live stream. Okay, go on and do the live stream. And on every step, spirit just showed me, when you listen to the guidance that spirit's giving you, it's going to provide for you in an enormous way, no matter what it is that you're doing. But we really have to listen to that guidance and take action is the big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like thinking of this as like those self-feeding pet dog food dishes and things like that. Like spirit gave you some food, and once you took it, guess what? It gave you more. And once you take that, it gives you more. And once you take that, it gives you more. And it becomes this excellent flow of energy that continues to add more and more possibilities to your life.
Oh, it's so amazing. And it never ceases to amaze me just how much spirit is really willing to provide for us and how much it's willing to give. But also that when you really start to pay attention to it, there is this direct correlation to sort of our current mindset and how much we're willing to receive, and then what the universe is willing to give to us, because there is an abundance of whatever it is you're going for. I can guarantee you that there's an abundance of it out there. But like for me, I personally sort of had this idea of, maybe I'm not quite ready yet, or whatever ideas I had of not really wanting to take that next step. And then once spirit was like, hey, you're ready, let's do this. And I said, yes. And I was open. I mean, things just started to like it was a downpour of abundance immediately. And so I'm so grateful. But you'll find that out for yourself too. Everyone watching, if you start to listen. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And it's just really like you might get an inspiration. Like, I don't know if you knew the story of how the expo started, but I was at Goddess Elite, and I was in between readings, and Melissa and I were just asking, well, what if we were to put on a show on the West Side? What would we do? And we just like that one question opened up to buying the Sportsplex, and the next thing you know, within like less than 8 months, I think our first show was 7 months in the making, and we ended up putting on over a 13,000 square foot expo, had over 1,000 people come to our first one, and we just from listening. And had we had the fear, if we were like, "Whoa, this is too much," we just took it one thing at a time, asked a question, got an answer, followed an awareness, and just one thing led to the other, and it was just like it just unfolded in front of us without even trying.
That's so amazing. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, and and we're not there are so many stories. You listen to all these people, there are like a lot of people out there that talk about manifestation, law of attraction, law of vibration, abundance, all this stuff. And there are like an infinite number of these kind of stories out there. And so I encourage you, the reason we're sharing this, we're not trying to like brag about how we did all this awesome stuff and received this inspiration. We're sharing this to inspire you to start yourself, to start to look for these things. But like Hank said, it's just amazing. You start to really follow, take action, and listen. And Spirit's here to guide all of us, I think, when we're really open to it.
There's a thing in Neil. I know I reference Neil Donald Walsh's work a lot. It was like a pivotal cornerstone in my development. But he says in his books that the whole point of it all is to create yourself anew, the next grandest version, whoever you believed or desired to be. And so in each moment, like to make the highest vibration choice, what feels the lightest in your life. And if you continue doing that, it just starts on this epic upward spiral of possibility.
Oh, yes. I love it.
Epic spiral. Wow. Spirit's really wordy with me today. So.
No, it's great. I love it. No, I love it. No, one thing I will say though is I'm having to bring myself. I'm so excited right now. I have to slow myself down a little bit so the words will flow correctly. But one thing. Oh wow! And then the words are gone. I love it.
Everything said that it just went away.
Bottom back, yes. So no matter where you're at, what you're doing, you may have an idea of sort of what your calling is, or you may even be doing very fulfilling work. But along the lines of what Hank was saying, you never know what else is possible. I'm going to phrase that a little differently. You may think that where you're at right now is like this amazing place, and you may have a lot of abundance already. But if you open up and you don't shut yourself off to the possibilities, I think there's like an infinite amount of success in connecting with people and business and finances and all of these areas, if we're willing to open to it. But if we shut ourselves off and we say, okay, I have to do this, or oh, I found it. This is the end. I'm here. I made it to my perfect career or whatever. That will sort of limit you. Like I honestly, for many years, never saw myself, like my end goal for a long time was massage therapy. I thought, oh, it's massage therapy, and then like I'm happy if I get successful doing that, then I'm set. But then started to open myself up to more of like, okay, what else is there for me? And the universe started to throw like, the shamanic work that I had been doing for a while, and
starting a podcast,
and then the podcast, and then the readings, and and I just have a feeling there's a lot more in store for me, and it's already on its way.
Right. And I know you've been reading The Joy of Business, correct? Have you picked that up?
Yeah, I was, and then I started it, and I got really inspired, and then I just started to run and do things. Yeah, so I haven't finished it.
I don't know if you got to it then, but there's a whole idea that in the business world or anything you're looking at in life, that feel the difference between the energy of having a target and having a goal.
Oh, I do remember that part.
Yeah. And so like right now, instead of setting goals for yourself, you're really setting targets. You start something and you keep the moving target and you keep your momentum going, where if you have a goal, like once you reach massage therapy, it's like, well, that's it. I've arrived. I've achieved it. And then all momentum stops versus my target's massage therapy. And then I'm going to move the target and I'm going to keep creating and keep creating more possibilities. So there's like a huge difference in the energy behind that. And if you think about sports, what happens when you get to the goal? You turn around and go the other way. In fact, you gave the momentum to somebody else.
Oh yeah, definitely having targets. I like that. And then also the metaphor of like whatever it is that you're currently trying to actualize, the metaphor of like the bowstring being pulled back. You have that intent of whatever it is you're trying to do, aim at that target that you're going for, and then let it go. and let that intention be actualized. There's when we need to take action, when we need to take action, but also realize that the intent that you put out there, the universe is working to bring it about to you. So you don't need to sit and question things over and over again in your head and focus on how things are going to show up. If you have the idea of, oh, I really want to, be really successful with massage or whatever, and then you think, well, I'm going to work at a chiropractor's office for this many years, and then that's going to lead to this. And then, then you're really sort of like handcuffing the universe as far as like it guiding you towards the abundance that it has ready for you. Whereas instead, if you just know that, okay, like vast abundance and success is coming my way, and then you set whatever target you have and set that intent out, and then allow the universe to do whatever it to work in whichever way it sees best for you, then I think things show up a lot more quickly for people.
Yeah, and also you've already touched on it, not to have a point of view or an expectation as to how it shows up. And just to give you an example, when I did my very first trade show, a very wise mentor told me, you never know how a show turns out till 6 months after. So he's like, so always keep that in mind. And I went down to the Jonas Knight Center to the Seek the Light Expo. And it was like one of my first big trade shows. I spent like $400 between all the expenses to have the space. And I didn't even break even that weekend. And I was kind of down. And then I remembered that. I'm like, well, you never know. You never know. I'm going to wait 6 months and see how it turns out. And I think it was 3 months down the line, someone that I connected with hosted me to teach a private aromatherapy class for them and a whole bunch of their girlfriends. And between the class and everything they bought, I made like $3,000 in a day.
Oh, that's awesome.
and so, but I had the point of view initially, like, oh, this is terrible. But then I'm like, well, it's all about the connections. Like you're planting these seeds and cultivating them, and you don't know what the fruits are going to be a little bit down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for me, that was something I did struggle with for a while, be it like with massage therapy or like the energy healing or whatever I was doing. Sometimes I would get that in that mindset of, like when people would come in off of like a special that we were running, I just wanted to like, oh, let's get them, booked. I want to have that returning client. And it was when it wasn't until I find.
Oh, I'm listening.
Oh, no, I heard some distortion in there or something.
Oh, well, no, I don't. Sorry if that was me.
Oh, no, that's all right.
For those of you who don't know, that Mondays is one day that I actually have like a day job, and I have to jiggle the mouse every once in a while.
So anyway, it wasn't until I really started to just relax and focus on the joy of doing the work, and like and be in the moment with every person. I was just giving my best, enjoying the energy exchange, and really being there for the client to help them. And then when I stopped focusing so much on like, will this person rebook, etc., then next thing I knew, I didn't really have to worry about that, and people were coming back, and I think it was pivotal for me to shift the energy there and not focus on the end result of how things were going, and just be in the moment, really giving my full attention to what's happening here in the now. That's really powerful.
Yeah, and another great example of listening to spirit. I don't know what brought you to Goddess Elite so many years ago. But I'm sure you were probably following an inspiration. And Casey and I, if you didn't know our story, we had met just briefly, maybe a 30-minute conversation, maybe an hour at the most, at the old Goddess Elite. So years ago, like 8 years ago, and had completely never talked again, really. And then all of a sudden reconnected. And now we're creating all these different amazing things, doing Stir Crazy Shamans and working on other projects too, and the Shaman Apprenticeship Program together. So just look at sowing the seeds from like one interaction, and the fruits are bearing how long afterwards.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. And these events that, even things that I've actively manifested, like people events that I've sat there and was like, okay, this is what I'm going to actualize. And at the time, like people came into my life, and I didn't exactly know why, but wow, do things line up in an extremely synchronistic way? Like meeting Hank. Oh my gosh. So again, to go back to our little story of how we reconnected. So that was like 8-9 years ago, however long ago that was, that we connected really briefly. And there I went into Goddess Elite, I think with the purpose of like, in my mind, and I could be wrong, but I think the mindset was, I'm going to go in there to figure out how I'm going to start doing energy healings. That was like my big passion. I'm like, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to start doing it, in a as a career type thing. So at the time I had no idea how to start. And little did I know that like this was going to lead into this so many years later. But I've been working doing massage therapy. I was doing energy healing a little bit at the place that I was working at, but I was really more passionate about the spiritual work that I was doing, the shamanic healing and the readings and that sort of thing that I was just playing with at the time. And then I started to get all these signs from spirit coming from all different directions and all different people. Oh, Hank has to walk away for a second. That's okay. So we're getting a lot of distortion coming through there. I'm going to mute you, Hank, really quick because there's noise coming through. Okay. So anyway, for all of you who are listening, so yeah, I was getting messages coming through from all different angles from spirit. And oh, there you go. I muted you, Hank, because there was a lot of noise in the background.
oh, I was running. Quite literally.
So anyway, oh yeah, so getting messages all over from people that I was talking to. Even my mother was like, hey, check out this documentary I just saw on energy healing and all this stuff, and watch that. And then I was just getting signs that it was time to take my training in the energy work that I was doing further. And I had no idea how I was going to do that. And so I went on Google and I just did a quick search of holistic healing near me just to see who was around, and clicked on a couple websites, and I'm like, nope, it doesn't resonate. And then I clicked on Hank's website, Holistic Health and Healing, and I look and I go, I recognize that guy. His picture was there, and I said, I know him. And so I went, okay. And I was reading a little bit on his description about how he does shamanic work and all that. And I'm like, oh, I've been practicing shamanic work for, years. And so I just went on and I scheduled an appointment with him. And there was like a conflict. So he actually had to call me back. At this point, all he has is my name. And again, we had met, this was like over 8 years ago. And all he has is my name from the scheduling thing, doesn't have my face or anything. And he called me back and he's like, hey, Casey, we met years ago at Goddess Elite. And I was like, oh my, he remembered that. Wow. That was amazing to me that he remembered. But, and then, yeah, just, I remember another cool part about this is we got together for a session and talked about how I was going to do the shamanic apprenticeship that I'm a part of. And I don't know if you remember saying this, Hank, but you said, you're like, okay, yeah, well, I'll see you closer to the apprenticeship. But then you paused and you went, but I have a feeling we're going to end up working together before that.
Well, since you've said, I've heard you tell the story before, I don't remember that, but I'm not surprised.
And then, yeah, and I had that feeling too, but then, and here we are now. So it's been magical. But yeah, just look at that, that event that, for all I know, I probably forgot about for years until I saw your face again on that website. That just half an hour conversation that we had all that time ago has come together to this amazing moment right here.
Yes. So if you're watching, maybe pause for a moment and ask yourself, what seeds have I sown that are ready to bear fruit if I'm ready and willing to be and receiving of them? Because all of you have had these little things that have happened that, Casey and I might have been able to get together 2 years ago or some other time if the energy was right? So like, what space could you be holding for yourself right now that all the seeds that you've sown could start to bear the fruit that they have the potential to bear? And what could you shift in yourself to be in the place to be willing to receive it and an allowance of how it shows up, no matter what that is?
Yeah.
Because all you have these exact same magical stories. It's just a matter of, like that saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. You've sent out all the feelers for all the things that could be in your life right now. The question is, when are you going to step into allowance of receiving them?
Yeah, and we do have to be in that space of allowance. Like I said, I was on a shamanic journey the other day, and there was this image of this. And I asked about abundance. There was something I was like, I don't know what it was about. This was like a week or two ago. I said the other day, it was a week or two ago. But I was asking about abundance, and this tree where I was in this journey grew. And just, and I went over, and there was like an apple on the ground that fell, and I picked up the apple, and it just like, boom, another apple hit me on the head, and then boom, 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 and then more. And then just like all these apples started rolling out and like forming this like mountain of apples. And part of like the message that Spirit was communicating for me was that, to the universe, it's just as easy for the universe to, for example, if we're putting it, say, into money. This isn't what Spirit said, but I'm just translating. It's just as easy for the universe to go, here's $100, as it is, here's $100,000 or more, whatever it is. To the universe, it doesn't really make a difference, but it's what space are we ready, or what space are we in that we're willing to receive at this moment?
Yeah.
If we are in the space mentally, energetically, emotionally, subconsciously, spiritually, where we believe that we are worthy of receiving a vast amount of abundance, then it's going to come crashing down on top of you. But if there are parts of yourself that you feel reserved about these things, or you don't feel worthy, or you have certain judgments around yourself or certain kinds of abundance, then you're sending out to the universe, whether you're consciously doing it or not, that I'm not willing to receive all that abundance at this time.
Oh, cool. I'm sorry. I just was looking at a message somebody thought it was related to the show, but it was totally unrelated, but also very cool. More possibilities to talk about afterwards, possibly.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, but the thing that I was going to mention before I got sidetracked with that is there's another Access book that if you were to pick like one, it's basically where Foundation came from and a lot of the more advanced Access concepts. It's called the How to Become Money Workbook. And one of the exercises that they gave in that is that you just kind of get centered and you just visualize receiving energy, right? And we have very easy times to receive that energy. But then when you ask someone, now shift that energy, now you're receiving money. All of a sudden people have a resistance to it for whatever reason, whether it's this lifetime or other lifetimes, but it is just an energy. Like to your point, the universe can deliver you that no matter what it is. It's our issue with receiving it. And so start going through, well, where do I have a resistance to receiving? And just asking that question and letting whatever bubbles up. And you don't have to relive it or hash it out again, just the awareness of the energy, and then just being in the space of what would it take to change this? What guides could I ask to help with this? What healing session might be a contribution to resolving this, or whatever the question is, and start to work through whatever the resistance is. And literally things can change overnight if you find what the holdback is, because it could be something from childhood. Like I've shared this one before, one of mine that stuck me for a long time was the point of view that rich people are sad and unhappy. And so I had the idea I could either be rich or I could be happy. I'd much rather be happy, right? And so you could create your own glass ceilings of limitation based on stuff that you don't even remember was said to you as a kid. And identifying that and just being in the space to let it go.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people with viewpoints. There's like certain common viewpoints. One that like anything worth having, is worth like working really hard for. We have to work hard in order to. Oh, what is that? We've got a.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were showing me something like.
No, I was trying to hold my. I was. Oh, I'm on the wrong camera. No wonder this is so weird.
I was gonna say you looked like you've been looking in a weird direction this whole time.
Oh my goodness! There we go. That's much better.
Yeah, much better.
Oh, it didn't default to my separate camera. So all the time that I'm like looking up at the camera, like it looks like I'm looking off into space. Space of possibilities. It may roll. Okay.
Yeah, lots of.
Oh man. Oh, and then everything that I was doing here, like I got locked out of my computer, so I had to get my phone because when you log in, it sends you a message to make sure it's you, and that's why I had to run and leave. There's all these little things. So much fun.
That's great. I love it. Real quick, sign up before we got sidetracked from whatever I was talking about, which is totally cool. But
it happens a lot.
I know today that may be part of like all this energy coming through. I think we'll probably have to keep it to more close to like a half an hour because I did schedule a reading, Hank, just to let you know.
Okay. Well, I only have a half hour anyway.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have technically 45 minutes because I combined two things together. But whenever we wrap up because Monday is the one day I don't have as much flexibility to run over anyhow because I'm working for the man.
Working for the man.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was what I was saying. So, certain people have like these big ideas, right? Of like, okay, so we would say there's plenty of abundance, for example, financially to go around for everyone. They would say, well, that can't be true, right? Then why is there such an imbalance, in society? But, really look at why do you have that belief that there isn't abundance for everyone to go around? Because someone told you that was the case. You know,
Well, do you want an answer to that question? It's because of one of the illusions that hold our reality together, that superiority exists and that some people deserve more than others. And that means that there's insufficiency. But all those are lies.
right.
It's just to create context in the duality.
Right. But some people have never asked those questions of themselves. They just blindly. So I'm encouraging, if you do have ideas like that, of okay, sure, maybe like people who are really inspired, or spirits working through them in a magical way, can manifest all this abundance, but not me. Okay. So first, ask yourself, why do I have that belief, and search yourself. Is that really true, or is that just true because I've sort of blindly accepted that from someone else? And like Hank said,
Right, and we're taught when we're little that parents are the end-all be-all in terms of, well, in our culture. This is not true of all cultures of the world. In some cultures, the parents don't even raise the kids. Like in Peru, the entire community raises the child, and the parents aren't necessarily as involved. But in any case, we're taught, mom and dad are infallible in a way that that what they say is it. And if you have that point of view and you're indoctrinated with different judgments and ideas about things, you might not even remember all that stuff from being a kid, and it can really stick you later on. And if you follow astrology, we were talking about this the other day, the first 28 years, your first Saturn return, is you getting programmed. And this is all autopilot of the universe. So keep in mind that the more conscious you are, the less this matters. But then the next 28 years is you going, wait a minute, that's not me. Who's me? And the next 20 years is you peeling off all these things that weren't yours to begin with, that you just aligned and agreed with, or resisted or acted to other people's judgments, definitions, and conclusions about what's true for you, which really isn't. And then the next 28 years is you actually stepping into being who you are. And the faster you can wake up and start to germinate your seeds of inspiration and growth, you don't have to go along with that autopilot of the universe. You can wake up at any point, like Pinocchio, and there's no strings to hold you down, and you can choose regardless of what the autopilot of the universe is doing.
I love it. I love that you threw Pinocchio in there.
Yeah, well, that's what they say astrology is. It's the autopilot of the universe, and it's just Pinocchio's going with the movement of the planets. Wherever it's going, he's going. But once he becomes conscious, he doesn't have to go with that energy anymore. So if you left to your own devices, if you were completely unconscious, if you follow the natural autopilot of the universe, by age 28, you'd start realizing, hey, who am I really? And you would spend about roughly 28 years, give or take, with the arc, figuring out who you weren't from what you were programmed with. And then once you do that, it's like, now I can be me.
Oh, yeah.
But you can fast track all of that. It's all around, like my original astrology, second astrology teacher actually would always say, the more conscious you are, the less astrology matters, but it never doesn't matter.
Sorry, I looked a little distracted because I realized this whole time I hadn't made this public on my page, but okay, because it's public now. So, but I wanted, to what I was listening though.
Okay, well, I was listening to you too when I was distracted. Oh, and this thing went away again. Shoot. All right. Gotta jiggle the mouse more frequently.
What I was going to say is, I was going to say the whole, 28 years and all that, and and with the whole process you had kind of described with astrology. Yeah, I definitely didn't follow that whole format. So definitely know that you can wake up and reprogram yourself, all that amazing stuff at any time. You don't have to wait for your solar return. But I do really think there's a lot to it. I'd never really studied astrology all that much, and I've never felt really called to it, because up until a few days ago, I'd never had a real powerful experience with it. But then I had my astrology chart read for the first time, which isn't just like a horoscope. It's much more in depth and personal to you. This guy was saying things just based off of this chart that he pulled up, and I was like, oh wow, that's some. Like it'd be one thing if there were like one or two things that kind of lined up. It was like every little thing. He's like, well, this star is here, so this means this. I was like, oh wow, that is me. Yep. So I really think there's a lot to the astrology stuff. So, but I think it's more of an energy to be ridden, to take you on.
I was just going to use a surfing analogy.
Yeah,
it's like the waves of energy going throughout creation, right? If you happen to catch a wave that's going where you want to go, it makes it that much easier. But if you want to go right into the face of the current, no problem. That's possible too. You have full choice.
Right, and that's part of why I started doing the reading business when I did. Is that reading? He was like, listen, he's like, you can start this business whenever you want, But today, like right now, the way the planets are lined up in your chart, like today is a really good day to do it. I was like, okay, I don't know how, but then the inspiration came through, and it's been taking off in such a beautiful way. So many ways to take advantage of all this wonderful information and energy.
With the last company that we just started, which will be announced soon, I'm working on a couple little projects, but we actually looked at astrology and we birthed the company very specifically, like on the equinox, for a lot of different reasons. So it's like, wow, look at that. But you can actually pull then a chart for your business. So like if you know exactly when you birthed the business, you could pull a chart for your business and see how the astrological forces would be impacting it based on its birth chart. And same thing with your personal chart. If you take your chart and overlay it with the transiting planets right now, you could see the correlations and what things would be impacting you more or what things would be more helpful for you right now. Because it's not just the birth chart is what you came in with, and how it's relating to the planets today is a whole other topic.
Yeah. That was, he did both. He had them overlaid. So that was
cool. Probably using solar fire, but it doesn't matter. We can ask that later.
Yeah. But very fun stuff. Very cool. How are we doing on? We still have a little bit of time, or are we?
Well, we're at the 30-minute mark. I know I have time because I had a total of 40-ish minutes. But if you have a reading, we can wrap up and you can make sure you go center yourself or whatever you need to do before you do what you do.
Maybe I need to ground a little bit before I go back off.
Even before we started, I messaged Casey like, "Do you want to wait till like 5?" Because he still felt spacey to me from after he did his live readings. But he said, "No, I'm good to go."
But maybe at least food. I know is going to be a good thing before I do this, so that'll give me time to eat. So I think it'll probably be this was a great one. Lots of powerful.
Yeah, other than me staring off into space, it was great. No, but if you're watching and you have topics that you want to hear about, please message us in the comments. I know later on this week we're either going to do one specifically based on some feedback I got from somebody. I'll do a whole episode on good and bad, right and wrong, or the concept of forgiveness. So look forward to that. I just wanted to do that one on a day where I didn't have to be rushed on camera or whatnot. So we'll do that either tomorrow or Wednesday or whenever it feels right to do it.
And then we're going to have another one on readings because it's been so much of an extremely fun part of my life lately. So that'll be a fun one. Tune in for that.
No, and I can even see if I can maybe get maybe you can do one just us, but I might be able to get one of my Lilydale friends on to have a conversation with us regarding readings.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple people in mind. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but it might be really cool.
Oh, nice. And then for everyone watching, if you're interested, check out Shaman's Way on YouTube or on Facebook, my Facebook page. There's information. I know I was talking about my readings a little bit, so you can check out Shaman's Way. I don't have it today, but very soon there'll be a website that you can check all that out on. But at least subscribe to Shaman's Way on YouTube.
Yep, and I put the link to Shaman's Way. If you click see more in the description, if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, it has the link so you can subscribe to Stir Crazy Shamans. It has a link so you can subscribe to Shaman's Way, and it has the link for the HHH one where I do the holistic highlight series with different people. So a lot of good resources if you're interested. And one thing, since we're talking about inspirations, one thing that I followed the other day, and I made this cool little meme. I posted it on my Facebook profile, so please share it. But I'm going to put it up now. I had this inspiration. The spirit said, "You're going to come up with an acronym, or we're going to give you an acronym for COVID." And at first, I'm trying to figure out what it's supposed to be, and they're like, "Silly, we're going to give it to you if you just shut up. We'll tell you what it is." So it said, "Well, what if COVID is the Earth's way of making it stop for a moment to create opportunities via intuiting divinity? And what kind of world would we live in if we were all really in tune with the divine? What could we create? What possibilities would there be?" So if you see that on my profile, please like and share it if you feel called to, and just kind of get that. It's kind of a positive way to look at the current experience if you have a little acronym to start shifting the mindset from a place of fear to a place of possibility, which brings me to my second favorite overlay, feeling excited and ready. What if all this fear we're feeling is the excitement about the world changing into something totally new and fun?
Oh, yes. I love it. So thank you.
Mike's adding, how does it get better than that? Yes.
Yes. What else is possible?
Yes. Questions are such an amazing thing that create such great possibility. But anyway, we're about to say thank you, right?
Yeah. So I want to thank you all for your energy and your attention. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
A Nike, a Nike, a Nike.